From years of anxiety to warrior and mentor, Bradley Robinson created the Anxiety Project to help you end your anxiety naturally. Let's mold the new you and let's end anxiety together.
Hello and welcome to episode 175 of the Anxiety Project podcast. I am Brad Robinson, CBT coach and NLP master practitioner who specializes in anxiety, all things anxiety. And so how can you get out of the chaotic anxiety circle that you're in? That is my objective with this podcast. This is a recovery community. This is not a coping channel. Now, today, cold showers is a phenomenon. There's Wim Hof, the Iceman, who's blowing up like mad. People are talking about the health benefits of cold showers, but which I will talk about in this episode, but the mental aspects of a cold shower are ginormous. And it was for me, especially when I was really sensitive and struggling with health anxiety. Cold showers helped me build that mental strength. If you haven't followed me yet on Spotify, the podcast is available there. I have had some issues with Spotify. All the episodes weren't uploading, but now that is resolved. All the episodes are available on Spotify and will continue to come out on Spotify week after week. So listen there. It's on Apple Podcasts. It's on Google Podcasts. Wherever you listen to your podcasts, I am there. Now, before we dive more into cold showers, I want to see and hear what you have to say about previous episodes, starting with Sumera65. I often feel that the news is necessary in my life. Now, they're talking about last week's episode, the media and mental health. It's difficult to break from it, but as I lessen my news intake, I notice my stress lessening. Absolutely. I agree. Patrick says, I've had media blackout for 3 years, especially news. It made me very angry all day. I would wake up angry about something they were saying. I will say I've been watching select media ever since Ukraine was invaded. And yes, I get angry and aggravated with all of the bickering and cheap shots. I find myself thinking all day about something someone said. Remember that the news creates a lot of emotion, right? There's a lot of bias involved, but we live in a time where there is less crime and murders and war than ever before in human history. But when you watch the news, you get engulfed and drawn in to the negativity that the news provides. And the news feeds off of that. It feeds off of our anger and frustration. And it becomes easier to shake our fists up at the world and blame others. And well, I noticed when I started to lessen news and completely cut it out from my life, I do not listen to any news. I noticed that if there is something important in my life that I need to know, I will find out, even though I do not watch the news. How? Well, if it's that important, I will find out from a coworker. I will find out from a family member. That has always been the case for me. And I've gotten through COVID not listening to the news. I've followed procedures. I listened to powerful podcasts of doctors and people who talk about COVID, but I don't watch mainstream news. I get my sources from people that I trust, podcasters that I trust. Now, like I said before, I just completed 2 months of this cold shower challenge. sometimes I don't take a cold shower every day. And so the 2-month challenge was a challenge where I would get up early in the morning, do my morning routine, and then I would take that cold shower around 6:30. And it's a challenge at this time of year because it's -15 all the time here in Canada. And so this was a real challenge for me to get in there. The water was ice cold. Sometimes I would be cold. It's cold mornings. I'd be shivering before I got in there. So it was a real challenge to do that every single day. Now, how I came across this cold shower phenomenon was through Wim Hof. If you don't know who Wim Hof is, I highly recommend him. He does this powerful breathing exercise that is absolutely relaxing, that activates your rest and digest system, and it allows you to tap into the deeper parts of your brain. But he is the Iceman. He exposes himself to these extreme weather conditions. He swims in ice water. He takes ice baths. He climbs mountains like Mount Everest in his shorts. He went up to the death zone, I think it was, in Mount Everest in his shorts. He's done a lot of crazy feats, which I highly recommend you check out. But I saw him on an interview, and his spirit, his mannerisms, his livelihood, his energy was so encapsulating, because I was at the time suffering and overcoming my anxiety disorder, and I started to draw myself and pull myself towards these spiritual teachers. So being intrigued by Wim Hof and the benefits that he was promoting by taking cold showers, sharing his life story, how he dealt with pain and suffering through the cold, that really motivated me and pushed me and drew me towards the cold showers. And then when I stepped into that cold shower for the first time, it was only for 10, 15 seconds, and I got out. And it was a real challenge because I noticed my fingers and toes would be purple, and that would heighten my anxiety even more because I was very sensitive over my health. And any unknown thing that would pop up in my existence, I would react to it with strong emotion, especially something on my body. So this was daunting, right? I stopped taking cold showers for a small period of time because of that specific thing. I felt like something was wrong when I was exposing myself to the cold. Now, what are the mental benefits of a cold shower? Why does it make the mind stronger? Well, the stress response activates when there is threat of pain. And when you bypass this strong resistance, you build and raise your pain tolerance because, well, your mind will come up with 1,000 different reasons why you shouldn't go in that cold shower. It's going to hurt. Your fingers and toes will be purple. Your skin will become all red. There's a lot of reasons, right? And the mind will be like, nah, I can't do that. And it'll prevent you from facing the pain. But when you bypass this strong resistance, you build and raise your pain tolerance that you can face pain and not die. This will increase the probability of you confronting difficult and challenging situations elsewhere in your life. Because once I started to continue the cold shower, exposure therapy, and confront the redness of the skin, the purple fingernails and toes, the rapid heartbeat, the pain of the cold, I noticed that I became more comfortable with having those experiences. I became comfortable with the purple fingernails, I started to realize that this is part of this therapy, that it's a change in blood flow, which I will talk about later in this episode. And then I also saw in the mirror someone who is capable of much more than they thought they were. And every thought was doing what it could to prevent me from going in. And I said no to those thoughts. These same thoughts are what drive you out of the shopping mall or avoid work. So cold showers is an opportunity to shut down that nagging, self-limiting voice when in times of discomfort. The mind always wants to take the path of least resistance. The mind always wants to take the easy road. So I was building on my comfort in uncomfortable situations. I was building on my comfort, and I was attaching safety to these bodily changes rather than distress or anxiety. The more I kept exposing myself, you can look at it the same way as going to the shopping malls, going somewhere that makes you feel anxious and staying there and desensitizing yourself from that uncomfortable feeling, from the fear. Same idea. Cold showers can break obsessive thoughts. It can break temptations and it can break urges. So if you are doing NoFap or if you're trying to break an addiction, jumping into a cold shower will change your thought pattern, because once you get in there, you're not thinking about anything else but the cold. It's therapeutic that way. So if you're obsessing over an illness, if you want to just change your daily pattern, you've been running the same anxiety cycle for so long, you jump into a cold shower, what happens? All you think about is the cold, rather than the stress of work, rather than that potential illness, rather than the symptom that you Googled. Very, very, very powerful. It's a great tool. And so the more I started to take cold showers and watch my mentor, Wim Hof, I realized that not only him, but other enlightened people, they have the same traits. There are common traits between all of these enlightened people. And I have a YouTube video on my channel, The Common Traits of the Enlightened Mind, where I talk about this in further detail. But I noticed that when you go into a cold shower, there's an acceptance of the pain. And this is a great practice, a meditative practice for letting go, releasing stored energy, accepting pain, accepting that you're in an uncomfortable situation. And Wim Hof and other enlightened people, they all understand that exposing yourself to what's uncomfortable and accepting that, you will transcend the fear, the anxiety. Now, what are the health benefits? I am really on board. I'm more on board with the mental benefits of a cold shower, but I do want to express to you there are health benefits as well. The neurotransmitter, norepinephrine, which increases blood flow, that increases 200%. This drops inflammation. Mitochondria increases, which increases your energy. T cells increase, which helps prevent viruses and infections, and an increase in antioxidants. There is also a decrease in muscle and joint pain. Cold showers helps warm up the body rather than hot showers that cool down the body. You become less sensitive to the cold weather. And I noticed ever since I started taking cold showers, I wasn't as cold, or the cold weather in Canada bothered me way less. I used to hate the cold, dread the winter, complain about the winter, and now I embrace it. I take a cold shower, and then when I go outside, I am way less sensitive to the cold. It's a miracle. I thought it was a miracle the first winter I experienced this. I was blown away by that. Also, a cold shower increases alertness. It speeds up reaction time. It increases breathing, which helps to de-stress the body. Those who are in stress mode, they do not breathe as much as they should, and they do breathe in a very shallow manner. Breathing activates and opens up the vagus nerve, which is the boss of the parasympathetic nervous system, your rest and digest system. This helps improve mood, digestion, heart rate, and it reduces tension. I notice when I get out of a cold shower, my mind is on a different state of alertness. I am awake. I am ready to conquer the day. And if you take a cold shower in the morning, which I highly recommend, you are doing something challenging first thing in the morning. And that drive of accomplishing that thing, it's not a small thing. That drive and motivation, it snowballs into the rest of your day. You are more likely going to be more willing and accepting of the future challenges that are inevitable, that are going to come your way throughout the day. And you're more willing to face them head on because you voluntarily expose yourself to situations that cause you pain. And that's where I'm going to leave you on today's podcast episode. Do you guys take cold showers? I want to hear your story in the comment. Have you listened to Wim Hof? He's such a powerhouse of a person. His spirit is so beautiful. And I recommend you listen to his podcasts and you read his book, The Wim Hof Method. Absolutely powerful. And I hope this podcast has helped you to understand cold showers and the mental and physical benefits of a cold shower. And lastly, do not let anxiety define who you are. I will see you on the next podcast episode. Bye for now.
Brad's Powerful Anxiety Recovery Program is now available at unpluganxiety.com. The Anxiety Project program is downloadable and puts the power of anxiety recovery in your own hands. Visit unpluganxiety.com for more details. Recovery